think sometimes that's psychology.
I think the financial cost as one of the many reasons
was a God experience. Wanted to find God, simply feeling like you're in fire. It isn't always so. Tell us about the solution.
as one of
People
the many
continue to pay 5 years of wage, not out of work.
Hey, I don't have the skills for this particular problem to solve this particular problem.
None of us talked about the bread seller.
Hello, welcome to another episode of The Heart of the Matter. My name is Umilola Oshikoya, and today we're talking about not just a mom. Wondering what that means? Well, you're going to find out in a second. We have with us Folakemi Shebiotimo, and the author of a book, Not Just a Mom. Folakemi, thank you for coming to The Heart of the Matter.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be on set for you today.
Fantastic. So tell us a little bit about you. What do you do?
Where do I start from? But the first things first, I'm a daughter of the Most High God. I'm a wife. I'm a mom of 2 boys, aged 5 and 2. My background is actually in IT technology, with a background in computer science and a master's degree in information systems. So I've worked at an investment bank for over 10 years as a developer
In the UK?
UK. But even prior to then, I did my NYSC here in Lagos at National Petroleum Corporation. So I think over the years, particularly once I became a mom, it became clear that I had to reset my expectations. So previously, I was the kind of woman that was quite passionate in terms of career aspirations. I had this goal of becoming a vice president before the age of 32. I mean, most women do. Most Nigerians are quite ambitious. But when I became a mom, it became clear that I had to, manage and reset my expectation.
I feel like I'm hearing myself speak because it's amazing. I also was very, very driven, career-driven, ambitious as well. Still am, but right now I'm driven in a different way. I'm driven in purpose aside from just career. And I remember that the motherhood they don't prepare you for motherhood.
No.
Because once you have that first child, everything changes. It's like
Exactly.
and motherhood kicks in and it takes over
Everything
the career, and sometimes you feel like you have to choose. Do you really have to choose? But I guess we'll get into
We'll
that.
get into that.
So tell us, okay, so you wrote a book, congratulations.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you.
It's called Not Just a Mom, The Practical Guide to Juggling Motherhood, Work and Life. I mean, I must commend you.
Thank you.
Writing a book. I wrote a book as well, The Richer Woman. And actually, almost as my book is about 256 pages, yours is about just 260.
Yeah, it's similar.
Wow, I mean, well done.
Yeah, no, well done to you as well. Because
Writing
it
a
was
book.
such a huge struggle to get this book in front of you today.
It's not
It's the
easy.
grace of God, because
It
without
is.
it wouldn't have been possible. It was such a challenging journey, but all glory to God.
Oh, glory to God. Yeah, so what inspired you to write this book, Not Just a Mom?
So 2 things. When I became a mom, exactly what you just said, like the first baby came, no one prepared me in terms of how things would change, in terms of, what kind of baby you get. You have some model babies that maybe they sleep all through the night, they're eating properly, but every child is different. And then going back into work, my child just pretty much took over my life. Wow. So even after I went back into work from maternity leave.
How long was your maternity?
So my first baby, I took 11 months maternity leave.
Wow.
And so I was going to get to that because in the UK, most big organizations, you get paid at least 6 months full pay.
Fantastic.
And then the other thing, which I think might be missing in this area, is the fact that your job is guaranteed. So if you decide to even take a year or 2 years, your job will be right there waiting for you. But even so I think the time I spent with my son made me really bonded with him. So leaving him at home and going back into work was so difficult for me. So I was kind of mom that my first week back in the office, I'll be in the bathroom just crying like, oh, is my baby okay? Is he fine? Is he eating?
Did you put him in daycare?
So I had a nanny at the time. She was an elderly woman, but I just felt like she couldn't do what I could do, right? So over time, I found that I had to, I had to find an outlet to put, my feelings and thought. So I started my mommy blog. So I was,
What's it called?
so it's called Peacocks Can Fly. It used to be called Not Just a Mom, but over time, because men actually started relating to it as well, not just women. So I rebranded it into Peacocks Can Fly. So I wrote around the challenges, of being a career woman in the 21st century. I wrote about
So
things.
it was also like writing for you was like
It was
therapy.
it was a therapy for me because through writing, I was connecting with similar people in kind of situation I was. So moms that were like working moms or business women that had similar challenges. So it was an outlet to, put my thoughts on paper because I found that even people around me couldn't really get my struggle because my mom always said things like, are you the first person to have a baby? So, I mean, the way it was, back in the 20, 30 years ago, it's so different now. The expectations are kind of higher. It's a different playing field in terms of, raising children, parenting, and,
Parenting
the
is
right
harder
path.
now. We
It's
have
harder.
so many, distractions now. Our kids, there's so many things they're going to contend with that we didn't have to contend
Exactly,
with.
like with the
Social
influx
media.
of social media, like if you're not on top of your game, you have other people that are raising
Your children, of
children for
course.
you and in a way you won't like. So the pressure is more on parents now. So over time, right, I've had my mommy blog for 5 years since I had, my first baby. And it became very clear that many women always feel so isolated, or even those that might be sat here in Lagos, they might think, oh, I'm the only one going through this struggle. But I wanted them to have a means by which they can say, I'm not alone in this journey. There are other women, even outside of Lagos, even outside of, UK, outside of the US, that face similar challenges with childcare, with, navigating career, with, managing their home, with, self-care, like all these different topics that are quite relevant to career women and business women in the 21st century. So I wanted them to, because I felt very alone when I had my first baby. I felt like no one really understood my struggle. So I made a decision that I didn't want any woman to feel that way. If I had something like this, I mean, there were platforms like all the, net moms, but they didn't get what it was like for me. Like I'm an African woman, and the expectation, like I have to put food on my table after work. Like my colleagues don't have to do that. Like I have to do that. They order takeaway. I have to cook like fresh food most, evenings or, do a meal prep. So I had to, channel based on my own, my values and my experiences. And it even became clear that most women, even those that are not from African background, they face some of these challenges as well with childcare. Like some struggle with finding the right, support system. Some have cases whereby their husband are not as supportive, or some work in organizations where, they don't value their contribution. And in some cases, they have to, take a step back and say, okay, I have to end this career journey. So it's all kinds of, different
and some
struggles.
don't even have the option of ending it because
they
are
need
the breadwinners
exactly
sometimes.
as well. So there are all kinds of struggles that when you pick this book, any woman that picks this book will feel inspired by, all the amazing women. Like I'm so inspired by you, by yourself. Like you're a huge role model. Your book, like what you do is amazing. So just being around really strong and passionate women actually keeps you going and keeps you encouraged to know that you're not alone in this journey. And the fact that you're a mom doesn't mean your passion and your dreams has to come to a complete end. It's fine to even take time out of, your career.
Seasons,
There are seasons, like if you've got really young children, there's a limit to how much you can actually do. And when, you have like a stressful, demanding job, like I've got some of the women I interviewed that like senior bankers, and they have to be in the office till 9 p.m. on a daily basis. So, and that's a season for them. That could be because they're looking at the next step of their career, or they want a pay rise. So you have to understand that there are different seasons, and with different seasons comes different set of challenges that you have to, be agile and adapt, yourself to. So this book is just an inspirational book for moms out there to feel encouraged, in essence.
Fantastic. Okay, we're going to go on a quick break and we'll continue after the break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after the break. Welcome back. We're still talking about the book Not Just a Mom with the author Falakemi Shebitiomi. So Falakemi, or Shebitiomo, Shebitiomo, sorry. So why the name Not Just a Mom? Why not just a career woman? Why not just a mom?
So why I chose the name Not Just a Mom, particularly because for me, it was at that point in time after I had my first baby, I became very clear that I was struggling with balancing my life. And it just felt like my child took over my life. Like I was the mom that I could be, not had the proper shower until like 4 p.m. Or just be there, breastfeeding, looking after the baby. So it was clear that that period of 11 months I was at home, all my focus was just as a mom at that time. So when I went back into work, I had to come into a decision that, no, like I'm struggling, but I love my baby will be fine, but I'm more than a mom. Because before I became a mom, I was also a daughter, I was also a sister, I was also a friend, I was an employee, I was a wife, I was all these other different things. So I cannot let, being a mom or mother would define me 100% to the extent that all my focus was just my baby. So I had to, it was a conscious decision, a mindset change that I'm more than a mom because I was actually an individual even before I became a mom. So that was why I chose the name that not just a mom.
But is there anything wrong with
Being
someone
a
that just
mom.
wants to say, you know what, that's
Exactly
all I want?
No, and that is actually in the book as well. There's absolutely nothing wrong with being just a mom or a stay-at-home mom. If that's what drives you and that's what you're passionate about, there's absolutely nothing wrong. One of my very early blog posts was actually the topic, there's nothing wrong with being just a mom.
Fantastic.
If that's what you're happy with. So it's a matter of choice at the end of the day.
Yes.
So if that's what drives you, but that's fine. But for me, before I became a mom, I was an individual,
Okay.
and it was very clear that my God-given purpose is more than being a mom. From my own experience, it might be different to
For
other
different people.
women.
I mean, definitely, because that's one of the I mean, that was the reason for the name for me, The Richer Woman, because I realized that there's what the message God gave was that, that He has a purpose for every single person. There's some that, are meant to just be in the home.
Yes.
There's some that, because there's some that feel, condemned because they want to be in the home. At the same time, there's some that want to be career women and they feel condemned because people say they shouldn't. So whatever it is that is your purpose,
Exactly.
follow it through.
And whatever it is that is your purpose, you really thrive in that area.
Exactly.
If you're trying to really push this high-flying career and that's not your God-given purpose,
Exactly.
you won't excel. So if you find that you're really struggling, it's actually in the book, that if you find that you're really struggling with you need to take a step back to really figure out what your purpose is going forward. Because the way I feel God created us, God has provided tools for us to progress and,
to prosper in wherever He's put you.
wherever we find ourselves. So if you find that you're not prospering in your career or your business over a period of time, then you need to take a step back and, hear God more to really understand what your direction is meant to be going forward.
And sometimes, I really, really feel like this book has been written for me because, sometimes you have to take that time out to realize. So I used to work in investment banking. I was, high flying. And then just as my career was about to get to the next level, I couldn't do it anymore because I didn't feel fulfilled. Because I was doing it for the wrong reasons, not because I loved it, I was called, but because of the money involved.
Yes.
And I wanted to do something more fulfilling as well as have family life
balance.
So God asked me to resign. And for like 6 months, I wasn't doing anything. And then I realized that, you know what? I love my kids with everything, but I'm not I can't be a stay-home mom.
That's not your calling.
Yes, but at the same time, I found what worked for me. So I kind of worked in church for a little bit, and then eventually now I'm working. I have my own business, but I'm busy again.
Yes.
I'm traveling.
Yes.
Last year, I can't tell you how many countries I went to. This year alone, I've traveled as well, and I'm going to travel. I'm constantly busy. I love my work, so sometimes I'm so consumed in my work.
It is.
And I realized that I am dropping balls.
Yes.
So when I went through your book, I saw that, you know what, gosh, I feel like this is for me, because I mean, we're going to talk about some of the, things in the book. But, I was watching an interview with a lady and two ladies. So the two ladies one of them was the CEO of Pepsi, and the other lady. So they were talking about their struggles because to be a CEO of PepsiCo, that is a huge company. And then she said one of the things that she regrets the most is the fact that, she didn't, her position has cost her. And I think her relationship with her children. And so the only thing that she's really hoping now is that her daughters give her their own grandkids to raise. And the other lady was saying how when her son had to draw a picture of a family, he drew everybody, daddy, siblings, and for her he drew a laptop. He didn't even draw a personal laptop. He drew a laptop. So, but the thing is, we want to work. We want to, we're called to work. We want to thrive. So I believe that your book, if probably the CEO of Pepsi had your book, she may not have this regret because then she can find a balance.
And just to consolidate on the point you made, the thing about balance is what we talked earlier about seasons, right? So at the point when your children really need you, maybe they're about to write their WAEC exam, or maybe they are sickly. Like there's some seasons where your work has to kind of take a back seat, so you cannot continue at the same pace constantly, because if you do that, you get burnt out and you probably might not even feel fulfilled.
So what are some of the tips you've written for women like myself struggling in your book? What are some of the things we can do?
There are different types of. So the first thing, obviously, is to know what your purpose is and to reassess your purpose, because your purpose when you're a single lady is very different to now that you're a woman, you're a businesswoman, you're a career woman. So once you know you're on the right path, in terms of balancing, you have to always realize that you cannot do everything. That's one of the big tips. Like you just cannot do, like it's just not humanly possible to do everything. So you have to, focus on know what your priorities are and focus on those priorities and learn to say no to things that don't, add to your purpose or contribute to your, overall goals and vision for your life and the life of your family as well. So if you've had like a short-term plan and goal for this year, if something else that is completely off, your business goals should come in the picture, you have to make an assessment that this would take me too much away from home. I won't be able to put my kids to bed like any day of the week. And will I be happy about that? So you have to ask yourself all these questions. And then once you're happy with your choices, then everything will be easy for you. And then one other thing is really around having the right support system. Yes, and that's something that is in the book, like having the right, the biggest support system for women that are married, that have husband, is, their husband. Like, you need that support, because if you're married, it's a partnership. So you need, and many women that I've interviewed really struggle with getting that right support from their spouses. But it's something that you really have to demand for in a really, diplomatic way. Like you have to use, wisdom to get that support that you need. Because without that support, like we can't be here. Like my kids are actually with my husband as we speak. Like he took them to church this morning. He took them to church. I had to get ready to come here. So without that support, like it's just not possible to really, go on your lives, on your life's path. And then one other tip that is in the book is around you really taking care of yourself as well.
I was just
because you can you cannot be everything to everyone. Like you have to fill yourself up as well. Like you cannot give what you don't have. You can't. So it's very important that you find really practical ways to fill up, your cup. Like cannot be running on empty. Like if you don't put petrol in the car is just going to stop, right? So the same applies to our human body as women. We always feel we are super moms, but we can't do everything. We need to have specific time set aside to, to rest, to sleep, to hear God for our quiet time, to look beautiful, like to get our hair done. These are things that adds to our self-esteem as women and confidence. So we need to create time for that as well. So there are so many other tips in the book.
It's such a rich book. I mean, I see reflection, I see questions. It's quite, you have stories of women
so,
as well.
so that's the other aspect. So one thing that makes this book quite different, because if you there are some other mommy career women books, but what makes this book different is I actually got stories and insights from career women from all over the world, not just Nigeria, not just the UK, not just the US, from Canada, from
everywhere.
United Arab Emirates. So I've got all that stories and made the book
I actually want
more
us
tailored.
to talk about, maybe give us one or two examples, but we need to go on another break.
Okay.
So continue after the break. So hold that thought. And stay on your screens. We'll be right back after the break. Welcome back. We're still talking about Not Just a Mom. So Falakemi, you interviewed women from all over the world.
Yes.
Can you tell us one or two stories?
So there are lots of diverse stories I came across from, doing the research and interviewing these women. But there was actually one of the moms. She's actually based in Lagos, and she just recently, started her own business. She was a lawyer. She's a mom of 5. So she was one of the women that actually really inspired me as well, like how she manages her home life, having with 5 children, and they're actually quite close in age as well. So that really inspired me. Like, her name, she's called Ify. If you can do this, like, I shouldn't be complaining. So for someone like Ify, one thing that was clear from interviewing her was she really plans in advance. So like if they're going to church, like she starts planning from Friday in terms of the outfit the kids wear to church, in terms of getting the items laid out, their shoes, the snacks that we have. Like she starts on Friday. Like that's what she does to have, to actually manage her time and to organize her home life. And obviously she has the support system. She has a really good nanny, and she actually had to get some relatives from back home as well to help. So you need that support system. But interviewing Ify, and this is someone that she went to a really top university in the UK. She's a lawyer, but at this point she's having to take a step back in her career.
So she's still working, but
she does her business at the moment, but she can't really. She struggled to really find that balance in a full-time job. So she had to take a step back. Because I think her last baby is probably under 2. So this is like a phase for her. And she actually understands that it is a phase, it's a season.
And
she's comfortable with that,
Yes.
So, and that's something that really encouraged me, that she's already figured out that I probably need to spend another year or so with the kids, and then I can relaunch and restart my career and push my business forward. So when you read, someone like Ify, like she just gets on with things. Like she just looks ahead. When she's focused on her goal. So when things don't go to plan, like she doesn't beat herself up. Like she's that kind of person, that she has some really hard days where she's, going through challenges, she's struggling, maybe a bit of depressed, but she knows that it is just, a phase, it's just a season. And she just picks herself up.
She can make up for that time.
And she can make up, and she just picks herself up and just continues the next day. So
in that season, would you recommend that you can still develop yourself, like personal development?
Yes.
So that you're still keeping
Yes.
up current with your field?
So that was something that was actually in the book. There's a section for moms that are looking to re-enter the workforce after taking a long time away from work. And one thing I said is, even some of these things we do, like you plan the PTA, summer party for your children's school. These are skills, organizational skills, time management skills, that as much as people might discount, these are big skills that you can actually put on your CV when you want to go back into work. Like at least the part of the world, like even in Nigeria as well, there are companies that recognize that these are planning, someone that can manage, to organize a summer party for a school of 500 students can succeed at the job, right?
So are these tips also applicable for not just career women that own their own businesses as well, right?
Yes. So these are tips that women in career, women in business, even stay-at-home moms can relate to, like things around, organizing your home, like, like just
I
decluttering,
need that.
decluttering your home, because that's something I had to spend so much time on. I got to a point like I only have like 3 brands that I buy clothes from, just because of the mental load of having to navigate, like trying to get my clothes, and it just, so over time I had to just narrow it down to 3 good companies I buy my clothes and shoes from. And I know in a year I probably won't buy more than 3 or 4 good dresses. So that just makes me more organized. Like, someone like Mark Zuckerberg, he only wear gray T-shirt and jeans. It simplifies
so he's
his
not worried
life.
about, I
It's
actually
not,
worried
exactly.
about, what am I wearing today?
It just goes to his wardrobe and picks a clothes. So those are people that, I've read, I've studied their life.
So
time is really key, because you have this, your goal that you want to get to. If you're actually spending time on all these many distractions, these are things that will take you, like I won't be able to write this book if I'm always online, like trying to get a dress for church for next week Sunday. That would take all my time, right? So you have to really simplify your life. So I think that applies to business women, career women, stay-at-home moms,
So how can people get your book, and also people that want one-on-one coaching with you or group coaching, how can they reach you as well?
So to get a copy of this book in Lagos, you can get a copy from Roving Heights Bookstore in Bagada. And another place you can get it is Latana Books in VI. You can get a copy of the book from there. And for those that, have access to get it online, it's on Amazon. Just search Not Just the Mom. It's there on Amazon. They deliver
Do you have
to
the ebook
Nigeria.
as well?
Yes, it's
Okay.
available on Kindle as well.
Kindle as well,
So you can, they shipped all over the world on Amazon. So search Not Just the Mom, you get it online.
So how can people reach you?
So my website is peacockscanfly.com. If you go to my website, there's a contact section. If you drop an email through the contact form and tell me exactly, what you need, what your frustration is, and I can, set up a one-to-one coaching call with you, and we can, take it from there.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And again, well done. I know
Thank
this book is
you.
going to bless a lot of people. It's going to
Amen.
bless
That's my
me.
prayer.
And
That's my
so I
prayer.
will definitely really, really sit down and take notes. Thank you so much again.
Thank you.
And hopefully we'll have you whenever you come
Yes,
back to Nigeria. Probably with your
definitely.
second book.
By God's grace.
By God's grace.
Thank you so much.
I hope you have enjoyed this episode as much as I have. You know where you can get the book now, and you know how you can reach Falakemi. I recommend this book. I haven't read it, but just flipping through, I see that this is like golden. There's so many nuggets here that we can all benefit from, and I will definitely be reading this. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode. See you next week.